Hey guys, it's Mike from That's Cool Vintage Collectibles. Today on the show, we're going to talk about the Vinyl Tag 2024. And if you're new to records or not sure what this is, every year there's a group of questions that go around all the vinyl YouTube channels, and it's a way to talk about our collections and kind of share different things that happened in the year by answering 20 questions about your collection. So I thought that'd be fun, and I thought I might take a run at that being a new channel. If you're new to the page, we're only 3 weeks in at this point, and sure would like any subscribers if you're inclined to do so. So thanks very much for that. And we'll get started into the vinyl tag for 2024. I'll preface this by saying in 2023, it was probably my least active record year in 20 years at least, maybe even longer. I don't know if I burned out on vinyl, but I really did get kind of where I just needed a break from it. I'd been collecting pretty heavily for a long time, and I was finding it harder and harder to find things I was actually interested in picking up, and the prices of the ones I was looking for were getting pretty high. And I just thought, you know what, I've got thousands of records already I can listen to, and I just kind of burned out. And it's made me sort of go through the collection and determine what I'm keeping and what I'm getting rid of, and things like that. So it was a little bit of a different year, and so that might affect this posting a little bit, because I didn't buy a lot this year. It's the first year I haven't really bought a lot of records. I got into collecting other things, and that kind of was more interesting for me at the time. But my favorite purchase of 2023 was this record, Goblin and Suspiria, and this was a movie soundtrack, and this is on Attic Records from 1977, I think. 1976. So a bit of a rare record. I actually didn't intend to keep this, but it seemed every time I wanted to put something on, I just, well, maybe I'll listen to that Goblin record one more time. It's really interesting. It's very different. It kind of sounds like the cover, if that makes any sense. But I don't know, for right now, it just seems to be something I'm listening to. It's a pretty rare record. So that was the favorite purchase of 2023, because it was just so different and foreign to anything I normally listen to. The next question is, what was the last record you bought in 2023? And I bought this just before Christmas, and it's Them Again, featuring a young Van Morrison. There's Van. I've been looking for this record for a long time, and I found it at an antique shop, and I paid $5 for it. I was thrilled to find it. Just an absolute checklist one of mine for a long time. I've been looking for this one forever. So Them Again was my last purchase of 2023. Okay, question number 3. Two albums from the same, two albums released by the same artist in the same year. So I went with Powerage and If You Want Blood by AC/DC, 1978. Maybe I'm cheating to have a live album in there, but two albums released in the same year by the same artist. That was my pick for that one. The next question is, if you had to just choose one decade to listen to for the rest of your life, which decade would that be? I think it would be the 1970s for me, or the 60s, but I think the 70s would be my favorite if I had to just pick one. Pretty tough to pick one, but the 1970s I think is mine, just for all those hard rock albums that came out in that decade. I think that would be my choice. Favorite Manchester band? I think this answer is maybe a bit obvious, but mine's Oasis, and this is my favorite Oasis album, and I think it gets overlooked a little bit, but this is quite a good record, and I'd recommend just visiting that one again, because when it came out, they were somewhat, it's well past the popular era of Oasis stuff, but I think this one had really strong songs on it, and the musicianship's very good, and the writing's very good. So check out that one. Okay, the next question is, who was the artist you listened to most in 2023? And I honestly can't answer that. I have no idea. I don't know who I listen to most. I listen to like a lot of stuff. I don't sort of stick on one band very long. So I don't think anybody more than anybody else would be my answer. The next question is show 7 7-inch records. So this was kind of hard, but it was fun to go through some old 45s. This one is a long-time favorite of mine, and this is Train Kept a Rollin', the Johnny Burnett Rock and Roll Trio. And I think this original version has so much energy and power, and it was so ahead of its time, and maybe a bit aggressive for 50s radio, but what a cool record that one is. So that's the first one on my list. The second one is Muddy Waters' Mannish Boy, and this one to me was just one of those records that did it ever create a genre, and electric blues was born with this, and just original chest pressing. I'm just thrilled to own that one. That's one of my favorite records of all time. Another old blues one is John Lee Hooker, Boogie Chillin' on VJ. And that one, again, like the Muddy Waters one, what an early classic record that really helped to get that electric blues stuff out there. The next one's a bit of an odd choice. I don't know, I just really like this tune. This is Deep Purple, Lazy, and this is a white label promo off of Machine Head. And Machine Head's one of my favorite all-time albums, so this one was pretty cool to come by when I found that. I don't remember where I actually got this, but white label promo from 1972 of Lazy, and Ritchie Blackmore doing quite a workout on that one. That's pretty cool. Next up is, this is a more modern era 45, I guess. But this is Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit, and on Geffen, and this is the original 45 that came out for that song. I think so many people bought cassettes and CDs of that the 45 was really not, as common at that time. So that was kind of a neat one to find. This is the original Canadian release on Blue Reprise for the Jimi Hendrix Experience and Purple Haze. So that's an early Hendrix single from '67. And number 7, certainly probably my favorite 45 that I own, but this is an original Sun Records Elvis Presley Mystery Train. And what more can you say about that record? That is, to me, one of the most important records ever recorded. So that is the last one I'll show today in my 7 inches. Okay, next up is question 8. And if you were going to have a dinner party with 4 music-related people, who would they be? And I think I would pick Keith Richards, Muddy Waters, Joe Perry, and Tom Petty. Might be interesting. That would be my dinner party. A musician who passed in 2023, somebody that I really enjoyed their music and passed away this year, was Jeff Beck. And this is a record he signed for me back, about 10 years ago. But Jeff Beck, to me, is a huge loss for the music industry and for guitar players. I think he just did so much, so innovative, and was still creating. So a huge loss, I think, for 2023. And if I had to pick music from one country to listen to, where would it be? That's a tough one, but I think I'm going to go with the UK. Just because a lot of bands that I enjoy listening to are British bands. But you wouldn't get any of that early American blues and things like that. So it's pretty tough to pick one country, but I'm going to go with the UK for right now anyway. Okay, working our way down the list. Number 11, 3 vinyl channels that you discovered this year. None. I didn't even look. As I say, I was pretty out of records for a little while, just discovering other things I like to collect. So there were no new vinyl channels I discovered this year. Number 12, a record you got as a teenager. The one I'm going to pick is this Guns N' Roses bootleg called Some Kinda Orange. And it's a live bootleg. There's a bunch of different shows down there. I think this has the Live Like a Suicide EP on it. I'm not sure. But I remember getting this as a teenager and thinking it was a pretty big deal. And So that's going to be my one that I picked for a record I got as a teenager. The next question, number 13, is a funk or soul record. I'm going to take Funkadelic, Maggot Brain, and go with a classic. That's my choice on that one. And okay, a record that everyone has and a record that nobody has. I'm going to have to go digging. All right, I had to go digging in the vault there for that one. So a record that everybody has, and why wouldn't you, would be the Rolling Stones' Some Girls. To me, this is one of the Stones' best efforts, and came out at a time when everybody thought they were washed up and done, and they produced a really classic record at that time. So that's the one that everybody has. The one that nobody has is Jimmy Campbell, Half Baked. And this is on the Vertigo Swirl label, which I like to collect, and they're always interesting records. This is actually pretty good, and judging by the cover, you might not think that, but it is a very good listen. And I always find Vertigo records surprisingly good, even though they look a bit weird and out there sometimes. They're often overlooked gems. So there you go. One that nobody has, one that everybody has. Okay, making our way down the list. Number 15, a female artist you bought in 2023. I didn't. I don't think there's any female artists I bought in 2023. I didn't buy a lot of anything in 2023, so I don't think there's anybody there. Favorite video on your channel for 2023? That would be the first one, because I just started this channel 3 weeks ago, so getting off the ground and starting and committing to it was a big deal, and I think that's my favorite. And a favorite video from someone else's channel would be, I really enjoyed Dylan at Noble Records did his room tour. I thought that was great. Well done, Dylan. Okay, so question 17 is a 90s classic, and to me, this is one of the greatest albums of the 90s, and it's a Canadian band called the Tea Party, and this is an album called The Edges of Twilight. I really love this record. It's just so good, and even now when I listen back to it, I still like it as much as I did back then. So that is my favorite 90s album right there, and it's a classic for me. So that'd be my pick for number 17 on the list. And if you could walk onto the cover of any album in your collection, what would it be? This is a hard question. I'm not really sure, but this looked like a fun cover to walk into. And this is the Beatles' Twist and Shout, 1964. This is a Canadian-only release, and it was to catch up some of the releases that were made in Britain at the time that hadn't come out in Canada yet. So, but it looks like a fun cover. Be a good time. The next question is, choose a record from your collection that is almost like a greatest hits. You've heard it so many times. So I picked Rock's Aerosmith, and this is a Japanese pressing. I love this record. I really like early, I mean, I could pick any of the early 70s Aerosmith's records there. So good. Lots of other bands that I listen to a ton, but that's the first one I just happened to pick out. And a record from your collection from 1974, I picked Rory Gallagher, Irish Tour 74. And it's just a great live record, and I don't know, Rory Gallagher, quite an underrated guitar player. So there it is. There's my vinyl tag for 2024. Hope you enjoyed that. If you're still hanging in through all of that, I sure would appreciate a like and subscribe to the channel. We're just getting started. I think this is our third week. So there it is. Hope to see you again next time. Keep on collecting.